Ronald Reagan once said, "I've noticed that everyone who is for abortion has already been born." Hi, my name is Amber Bowen, and today I'm here to talk to you about abortion. Although abortions are legal in the United States, 97% are elective. They are not medically necessary to the health or the well-being of the mother. Women who choose to have them have stated a vast range of reasons that do not justify taking the life of an innocent and defenseless child. Former President Ronald Reagan stated the astonishing statistic: abortion on demand takes the lives of 1.5 million unborn children a year. Human life legislation ending this tragedy will someday pass the Congress, and you and I must never rest until it does. Pro-life is the support of human life. It is the recognition that life begins at conception. Critics will argue that women should have the right to choose for various reasons, often stated that unwanted or unplanned pregnancies. Most often called into question is the issue regarding cases of rape and incest. Regardless, there are other safer and more ethical options available. Adoption is a fundamental choice that any woman considering abortion should be fully educated about. The ethics of abortion, women's rights, and human life. The question of justice outlines clear and comprehensive evaluations of all of the major grounds for denying fetal personhood. In the medical profession, abortion is commonly referred to as the separation of the fetus from the mother. If this is the case, then every cesarean is also an abortion. How are we to determine when life actually begins? Although abortion advocates strongly support the theory that life doesn't begin at conception, but rather after a fetus is outside of the mother's womb, serious questions can be raised to contradict this theory. Scientists have yet to prove definitely that life does not begin at conception. Life is as real as death. A person is not dead until they have ceased to exit, therefore life begins the moment we exit inside the womb. If these human beings were not capable of maturing into born children and adults, then abortion would never be necessary in the first place. The fact that the first 9 months of our developmental life is in the uterus of no consequence to overall lifespan. It is merely the first stage. There are many more developmental stages throughout life, and simply put, this is only one of them. We don't go from nothing to adulthood. We are constantly developing throughout life from the conception until death. How is it even conceivable that we as adults get to decide for the most vulnerable segment of our society, our unborn children, who lives and who dies? Or if you prefer, who gets to experience further development and who doesn't? If we intentionally end the life during any stage of its development from conception through death, we are committing an act of murder, as defined by society's basic fundamental beginnings. Ideally, the decision of abortion should be between both parents, with both parties being involved in any decision regarding the child. Life is a significant and legal and social issue where parental rights are heavily unbalanced, and due to the fact that a father plays no role in a matter as critical as his unborn child's life. If a woman decides to keep her child, the father is required to pay child support regardless of whether or not he wanted to keep the child or face future jail time. A father currently has no say. Alternately, he cannot opt out of parenthood, but a woman can. She can do so by abortion. How is this the option afforded to one parent and not the other? A child should not be punished simply because one parent does not wish to take responsibility for the life they have created. Many men carry a great deal of guilt over abortions, and no one should deny them a voice. If mothers are mothers from conception, then it stands to reason that fathers are fathers from conception as well. Unfortunately, since 1973, when the Roe v. Wade decision was handed down, a father's rights with respect to his unborn child were stripped away. Our society claims that a father's responsibility begins at birth, but not from conception. This is a highly controversial topic, as the unborn child was created from just as much as the father's DNA as the mother's. Each day, abortion affects more than 3,300 women. The aftermath of their decisions may not be visible immediately. However, weeks, months, and even years later, these women will realize the physical, the emotional, and psychological realities that arise in the aftermath of abortions. They may experience feelings of relief immediately after an abortion of a child they do not desire or cannot take care of, but over time that may fade. In the study of 500 aborted women, researchers found that 50% expressed negative feelings and up to 10% were classified as having developed serious psychiatric complications. As a result, many are diagnosed with post-abortion syndrome, a form of post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD. Two important legal cases reviewed by the U.S. Supreme Court in the 1970s established the legal right to abortion. In the first and more important case, Roe v. Wade in 1973, the court overturned a Texas law that prohibited abortions in all circumstances, except when the woman's life was endangered. In a second companion case, Doe v. Bolton, also in 1973, the High Court ruled that denying a woman the right to decide whether to carry a pregnancy to term violated privacy rights guaranteed under the U.S. Constitution Bill of Rights. As a result, outlawing abortion were struck down, and this laid the groundwork for one of the most controversial public issues in modern history. Pro-life advocates define abortion as murder and a violation against the sanctity of human life. Pro-choice activists argue that control of production is a paramount to women's empowerment and ultimately her body, her decision. In 1982, Ronald Reagan stated, "Simple morality dictates that unless and until someone can prove unborn human is not alive, we must give it to the benefit of doubt and assume it is alive. And thus it should be entitled Life, Liberty, and the Pursuit of Happiness." Another argument made by pro-choice supporters as the result of incest and rape. These pregnancies are not the result of a woman's free choice to have sex or are traumatizing to the victims well before the pregnancy is discovered. Pro-life supporters have a valid argument that other options are available to the mother, such as keeping the child instead of punishing them for the crime and actions of another. We live in an era where it is illegal to impose the death penalty on a rapist, but can sentence an innocent child to it. This is morally unethical. Another, more feasible option is adoption. This releases the mother and the father from any obligation or responsibility of the child while still giving the child the right to life. Many families are incapable of having or bearing their own children, but have the financial means and desires to give a baby the love and support that they may have otherwise never known. In the United States, there are approximately 2 million infertile couples waiting to adopt. This number constantly changes, but there are always more willing to adopt than there are more women choosing to give life over abortion. For-profit abortion clinics and greed have misguided women without properly educating them and their options or the possible consequences of their immediate desires and actions. The appeal to a woman's rights over her body as a justification for abortion backfires because the right must also be extended to the child. All things considered, abortion is not made justifiable by appealing to women's rights over her bodies. Very little ground stands on the issue of abortion. Abortion is murder and should be illegal except for instances when the mother's child is endangered and when the mother's life is endangered by the pregnancy. This right to life that everyone takes for granted should be extended to the unborn. As long as the law reflects the pro-choice view, unborn babies will continue to be murdered. The laws need to be changed. Babies' lives and the future of humanity are depending on it. Thank you.